If you or someone you know is struggling with alcoholism or addiction, do not hesitate to reach out for help. You can find numerous free resources on our website, thebeginagainpodcast.com, and there are tons of resources and support networks available online, in person, or just a phone call away. You don't have to face this challenge alone. Welcome to the Begin Again podcast. I'm your host, Gary Menkes. On the Begin Again podcast, we delve into the inspiring journeys of individuals who have overcome alcoholism and addiction and emerged as true trailblazers in entrepreneurship, business, sports, and beyond. Through authentic, uplifting, and profound conversations with our guests, we aim to shatter the stigma surrounding addiction and demonstrate that recovery can be a catalyst for remarkable success, strength, and resilience. We firmly believe that by listening to these accounts, you will be empowered to unlock your own potential, instigate positive change in your life, and contribute to the creation of a better world. So, get ready to be inspired and embark on your own personal journey of growth with the Begin Again podcast. Welcome back to the Begin Again podcast. I'm your host, Gary Menkes, and joining me today is certified mental coach, life coach, and recovery coach, and author of the book, Trust Your Process, A Guide to Recovery Through the Lens of a Baseball Guy, Curtis Pelletier. Curtis ties in his knowledge and love for the game of baseball and those life lessons on the field to recovery and in life. While Curtis was chasing his dreams and finding success on the baseball diamond, he was also fighting a much darker alcoholism. Curtis, how you doing, bud?
Gary, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And, like I said offline, I've been following your stuff, talking about baseball and tying it all into recovery and all you're doing for the recovery community. How'd we get here, buddy?
There is no roadmap to this place, bro. It is, it's funny. I'm going on 7 years now. And,
congrats, bud.
I'm in a place now where I'm finally starting to feel it and get it. Like I'm finally starting to understand what recovery is, what life is after addiction, because there's so much work. I mean, life is work. There's, I'm going to say some cliche shit through this, but it holds true, and I talk to my clients. I have Zooms at 5:30 a.m. because I have some clients out in Boston, right? Recovery clients, and we Zoom early. And, they're some of my clients are 2 months in, some of my clients are a year in, some of my clients are fucking a day in, right? So, and they're like, oh, I'm not feeling like I'm doing it. I'm not feeling like I'm winning. Like, man, like there's no finish line to this. Like how you do what you do is going to dictate how you're going to be. And again, it sounds so simple, but like, again, for me, how I got here, how did I get to this place? I don't know, by being open, by being honest, by being accountable, finally understanding what accountability actually means, not just a fancy word that people say. Yeah, I'm in grade, let's call it year 7. I'm in grade 7. I'm not graduated yet. There's a lot of years to go. So, the people that are early, you're in kindergarten, man. Just again, the title of my book, you got to create a process in order to follow it.
Yeah.
You can't just trust the process because there is no process. And if anybody tells you do it this way and that way and it works, might have worked for them, but you're gonna have to tweak that shit.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, for me, whenever it asks me, like, how do you do it? How do we do this? Like, you're right. There's no graduation. There's no, there's no finish line. There's no I've arrived. And, and this is, I guess, cliche, but you wish someone a long, slow recovery, right? And when I was in early, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Long, slow recovery. Like, I want to get better, and I came in because I just wanted to, I had to stop drinking somehow. All I came in for. I had no idea what was on the other side of this. I had no idea that there was this avenue to completely change my life. My life's a complete 180 from where it was, 17 plus years ago. But I didn't know that coming in, like you don't know that. Like I say this all the time, and it's going to be repetitive. People listen, but there's no big sign when you walk into recovery, you walk into an AA meeting, or you walk into rehab and says, come on in, you can completely change your life. It's long and slow. And I was one of the last people to realize that I was changing, or I was getting better. People would be like, you look so much different. You look so much healthier and this and that. I'm like, really? I got so much, I don't feel like it. I was also afraid. I was terrified I was going to go back out, and I think it's one of the healthy fears.
I hope you're scared every damn day. Again, I study and I hear a lot of how people preach and teach. And, a lot of people are saying, well, You shouldn't be motivated by fear or shame. I'm like, I don't give a shit what motivates you. Use whatever fuel you have in your back pocket that day to put you in the right direction. If it's fear, fuck fear. Let's stare at the eyes and let's go after it. Let's talk to some people. If you feel great, perfect. That's awesome. If you're shameful, use that. You use it. Use it's again no different than sports, man. I was a coach for a long time, and I have pitchers, and I'd have my Friday night starter kind of guy, 92 to 94 with great secondary stuff. And all of a sudden he's not throwing, like, he's like, coach, I don't feel it. I'm like, listen, man, you got to go out there and you got to get outs with your C game. That's what,
Mhm.
that's what separated the Greg Maddux of the world, the Tom Glavins, the Kurt Schillings, these guys that were not overpowering, but knew how to pitch and they knew how to work other systems when they weren't on their A game, because you're never going to be on your A game. You have to have other systems in place to fall back on if you wake up feeling like a bag of shit.
Yeah. I love that. I love how again, as you can see in my background, I love the game of baseball. I love the life lessons we learn in sports,
Mm.
teamwork, patience,
Oh,
baseball,
it's
failure.
all, man, recovery coaching. And this is what I talk to my clients about now. When we're a couple months in, I'm like, man, we haven't even talked about alcohol. It's not even about alcohol. It's about performance.
Mm,
So you want to be a badass at what you do, or do you want to, be like everybody else? And I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but do you want to just come home, have your dinner, watch Survivor, and go to bed? That's kind of in performance world. That's how I relate to it. It's like, no, I want to do more. I want to do more. Okay, we'll do more.
yeah.
And that's the same with recovery. It's if you want to recover, you gotta fucking work at it. It is work. But I always say, pick your hard. What hard do you want? Do you want the hard work of doing this work now, or do you want the hard work of trying to put the shovel down when you're deep in a hole in 6 months?
Because that shovel, you can always dig lower. There's always a lower bottom. I
Oh,
learned that for
totally.
sure. There's always a lower bottom.
Oh
But
yeah.
I want to hear about, I was reading up about you. We were talking. I want to hear about where you were. You were on the baseball field and you're having some success, but then you stepped off the diamond and you're dealing with some other demons. Tell us about that.
Yeah. It's I was really good. I was a left-handed hitter. Still am. Shortstop, quick, kind of five-tool guy, coming out of high school, recruited heavily. Um, I was dialed in high school, man. Like, didn't drink, didn't party, didn't do anything. All I did was focus. I hit. I mean, I was videoing myself, plugging it into a VHS in my basement, taking swings off a tee, then
Mhm.
comparing it to another TV with another VHS of Chipper Jones in the World Series, like trying to see where I'm at. I was obsessed, and it
Yeah.
was good. It was great, but there was no balance, right? I didn't do anything else. So I ended up going down to Texas and was 17 years old when I went down there. And I was introduced to some freedom. I was far, far away from anyone or anything I ever knew. And I I was good at the first little bit, I was dialed in. I was, fucking tucked in my shirt to my khakis and went to class and looked the part and acted the part. And then, slowly I was introduced to, natty light and cheerleaders, man. And it was awesome. I was like, this is sweet. This is great. You can have fun. There's no repercussions. We get away with all kinds of shit. People like us. People are encouraging this. So I just kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going. And it's funny, talk about our team back then. We partied, man. We partied, we won.
Mhm.
Didn't matter if we were hungover. We still went out and we still took care of our business. And our coach didn't care. Tim Tadlock, who's now at Texas Tech. He's a phenomenal coach. He was a young coach back then, and that's a piece of advice I always take from him. Is all he used to say was, "Take care of your business."
Mhm.
We took care of our business. Didn't matter how.
Right.
But with that being said, it didn't stop for me. I'm an addictive kind of guy. When it comes to working out, when it comes to anything, I'm addictive, and I can't stop. I have no moderation. So the natty lights quickly turn into wild turkey. The not going to class a little bit turned into hiding under my fucking dorm room bed for rim checks
Mhm.
because I was so hungover and drinking again in the morning, trying to figure it out. And it just didn't stop, man. It just didn't stop. And I got to a place where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I even playing? I don't even like this. I don't even like
Mm.
baseball anymore. It's just been so much what I perceived was pressure, but I put that on myself. I assumed everybody wanted me to do these certain things, and I'm sure they did. They wanted the best for me, but I made it into some big thing where I had to do it, or everybody would hate me.
Right.
It was my worth. It was my identity. It was what I defined myself by, and I didn't want it anymore. So, I ended up, I finished 2 years of college, and then I shut her down, man. I was like, I'm done with this. I had offers, play D1. Tigers wanted to sign me. I was like, no, no. Do I have regrets? Fuck yeah, I have some regrets about that. Like call them what you want, regrets or pissed off. But I look back now, I'm like 18, 19, making these massive life decisions based on alcohol, based on what I feel, based on what I think I want.
Yeah.
And who knows where I could have gone. There's a ton of woulda, coulda, shouldas in there. But I don't live by those now. When I do reflect, I look back on that. And I'll tell you that keeps me sober, thinking about that stuff. But after baseball, I I wanted to live a normal life. So I bartended, partied, did all kinds of fun stuff, and quickly realized it was not all it's cracked up to be. So I ended up playing independent ball. I just went and tried out for a team and made it. Played well, made the all-star team. And then sure enough, man, rinse and repeat. Started drinking heavy again on the road and was at an all-star game, and we went out and just got smashed and got all kinds of trouble. And then I again quit again after that. I'm like, no, I'm done. I mean, I was injured. I was a catcher. So, I was a shortstop out of high school, but I was converted to a catcher.
Mm.
And yeah, it just alcohol always got in the way. It was always that devil on my shoulder telling me, no, this ain't for you. This ain't for you. You want to party, you want to do fun shit. You want to go chase tail. You want to go hang out with these bad people. You know, I mean, I was always the guy who found trouble on the team. There's
Yeah.
always those few dudes on the team who like to get after it. I was always that guy. I didn't think I was that guy. I always thought I was the guy that found those guys, but I bet you when I look back at it, I was that fucking guy who everybody actually came to, you
Right.
know, and didn't love it. And again, was injured a lot, knees. I actually have another knee surgery coming up. Um, and and that was it. I done playing, but I didn't get out of the game. I went right into coaching. You know,
Yeah.
was like a 24-year-old coach. I worked for the Brewers, Marlins, Cubs as a scout, coaching all kinds of academies and summer ball and college stuff. And I mean, it just continued and continued. It was just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And it took till I was what was I when I went to treatment? Like 36, 37, man. This is a lot of years. It was like 12 years of fucking drunk tanks and DUIs and coaching and divorce and just craziness, man.
Yeah.
Like I did not make life easy for myself.
Right.
Um, I just wanted misery. It was the only thing I enjoyed feeling really was pain. I got into photography a lot too. And I look back on the work I did and it's dark. Like
Mhm.
it was a nice release, but I look back on it and I'm like, God, it's nice, but it really shows where my head was at. I didn't love the sun. I wanted things dark. I didn't want the blinds closed, but I didn't want the lights on.
Mhm.
I loved when it rained. I'm like, yes, it's raining. I can feel like a bag of shit today.
Amazing. I can relate to almost everything you said. I used to have this stupid line. I'd say, it'd be beautiful out, right? I'd be like, oh, it's so beautiful. Let's go find a dark bar with no windows. Let's go sit.
Yeah, boy. Like
Like, oh,
that scene out of Varsity Blues when they walk out of the strip bar, man. They're in there all night and they come out and it's sunny. They're like,
it's
oh,
sunny out. Yeah.
that was my
Done
life.
that many times walking out of bars and clubs and it's sunny out. Like, oh, be blinded. I'm laughing too, man. When I was in high school, we had a little, cement sort of basement thing, and I went down there and tied a sheet up to the rafter, to the roof with a tee, and just would hit all day, all night. I played shortstop too, my one year in JUCO. but it looks like you were a little further advanced than I was, and I certainly wasn't a catcher. But
Well, our coach recruited all shortstops. I thought I was like, yeah, man, I'm going out and play shortstop. I got there, there was like 9 shortstops. Like, fuck, man. Like 2 of them ended up in the big leagues, right? It's like,
holy shit.
yeah, yeah.
Well, there's the
So
athletes, I guess. But
that's right.
well, tell us about when you're 30, how do you get to realize that you need help and that you check yourself into treatment at 36?
Wow. For me it was decisions. Like I could not make decisions anymore. The simplest of tasks were the end of the world. I
Mm,
mean, I can remember a time I ended up working as a plumber. Like I'm like, oh, maybe I want to be a plumber. Maybe
mm,
that's good. Maybe I can just hide and deal with shit all day because that's what I deserve. But I remember I was on the job site and I was dealing with my oldest daughter's like lunch order form, and I was a drunk on the job site. I'll never forget. This is the pinnacle of not being able to handle anything. I could not wrap my head around getting her lunch order form in. I had to call my mom. Like, Mom, can you do this for me?
mm.
I'm too busy. I got too much going on. I had nothing going on. I was a fucking plumber.
Right.
Like, nothing going on. But I could not wrap my head around it of trying to do it, of trying to figure out what days and how do I even log into my banking. And then it was shortly after that, I had a photography company as well before the plumbing. Like I was fucking Johnny Odd Job. And I was booking shoots and booking things, and I booked so much work. Half the work I booked, I was drunk at meetings, and I didn't even remember doing it. So it was double, triple booking, taking payments, fucking people on my ass about refunds and everything, and this and that. It was just all I could do was drink to make it stop. I just
Right.
wanted to drink to an oblivion. And it's obviously all self-induced. There's no pity party here. It came from a long line of I believe I have real addiction issues. There's no underlying like, oh well, why? Oh well, why? It's like I don't fucking care why. I know it exists and I cannot do it. So it's when I got to that point when I was like getting peppered, my wife was getting messages from people about shit I was doing business wise. I was trying to hide in another job. Finally, I remember laying on the couch being like, I wish I could just go away and just take 2 months off of life. And sure enough, I remember my wife was like, hey, we're going to meet your parents for breakfast at this place. And like, okay, cool. It's almost 11 they're serving. And to get there, and they're like, well, you're going to treatment tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
So it's like
parents.
my parents and my wife, yeah, and my sister and a bunch of people had all organized this. And, they'd seen me, obviously I was not myself, and within a day and a half, I was at a treatment center.
So they have this intervention at breakfast. You're 36, which is it's probably the best, without knowing what comes next, but I'm gonna guess probably one of the best things that ever happened to you.
Oh, totally full resistance. Like, fuck this, this is ridiculous, crazy. For about 5 minutes.
Right.
And then the tears came, and then I was like, can we go now? Like, I just couldn't
That's
wait.
great.
I just couldn't wait.
Yeah.
And, I went and I had a mindset on the way up of I am going to do everything they tell me to do. I'm going to be completely coachable. I'm going to be the person that I always hope to work with as a hitting coach or a manager. I'm going to be so open, do everything, ego out the window, full humility, and move
Yep.
forward. And yeah, it was awesome. I loved it.
Oh,
I mean, I absolutely loved it.
it's amazing. You bring up a thing, a really good point. It's one of my kind of regrets, and it is around baseball. I went out, same thing. I went out every night, showed up, played practice, all hungover and everything, and smoking. But like I never even smoked cigarettes until I was playing college baseball. Like
I know.
I had this thing, like, oh, I had it in my head, like I'm a great athlete. I just can. All I need to do is show up and perform. And looking back, that is the biggest sign of fear you could possibly. That was me being scared shitless. It takes real guts to hunker down, to go out and give it your best and focus all on the task at hand, then go out and see how you do then. Because if I fail then I suck. Right. So at least I
Yeah.
have this thing in the back. Well, I was out till 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't sleep last night. That's why I went over for 4. But it's all bullshit and it's
Mhm.
all a lie and it's all fear based. That's one of my regrets, one of my deep regrets. But you had just said something that is me as well, is that when you got into recovery, you went all in and you became the most coachable guy there. Right.
Yeah.
And that was what changed for me. I went to rehab in 2000. 2002 for the first time. My sobriety date's 2006. I was 4 years of in and out, just
Mhm.
complete chaos and just darkness and soul sickness for those 4 years. But it wasn't until I went in, my sobriety date is May 13th, 2006. And
Mhm.
at that time, I just said, like, I don't know anything. I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to go back into the rooms. Just AA is where I got sober. AA saved my life.
No
So
kidding.
within those 4 years, I knew that, I'm gonna have to stop drinking at one point for sure. Like this
Mhm.
isn't working, but I'm definitely not going back there. And lo and
Yeah.
behold, the night before my, May 13th is I called AA intergroup and I went back and everything was different. When a stranger came and said, "Hey man, here's my number. You need to call me tomorrow." When every instinct in my body is like, "What do you mean? I'm not calling another man. I'm not calling you." I was like, okay. And that's what I did. And I became coachable. And that's what changed for me. And I haven't had a drink or a drug since.
Well,
So
it,
you
it
go in
takes
there
it
and
takes a lot to gain the willingness, right? One day you don't have it, the next day you do.
I
That's
call
what
it
you need.
surrender. Like,
Hmm.
right? I'm a stubborn, competitive guy. I don't want to give up. I don't want to surrender. I don't want to, if you tell me to go this way, I'm just wired to go the other way. You tell me
No.
it's black, I am wired to say, no, it's white. And I'll sit there
Mhm.
and argue with you all day about it.
Yeah.
But I was given the gift of surrender. Like that's how I view my sobriety. Like I don't want to do anymore. It's like I give
Yeah.
up. And you're like,
Hmm.
please
Hmm.
help me. Like God, please help me. And that's what happened. And I didn't even know there was a higher power aspect of this whole thing. And it's
Hmm.
pretty much the entire program. It's a spiritual program. But
Yeah.
so you go in there and you get
Yeah.
after it like you do everything else, except you're getting after it in a coachable way.
You know what? I got after it in a coachable way. I used it for myself as well. I started to create my own routines, all things I've always wanted to do. I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. Like I'm a early, get up early, do my work, do everything, work 3 hours before a majority of people even get in their car. For me, that's a
Yeah.
mental win. It works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. You don't have to biohack your life to start your day. You can just wake up and do it. But for me, there's things, I do the cold plunge. I do an outdoor workout because it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I have kettlebells and I have things set up in my backyard. So I do my cold plunge and I do my kettlebells. And, by 4:30 a.m., I've already done really, really, really hard shit. And I have to do things that are hard now. I'm just wired that way. So that was my thought process in when I was in treatment. But I woke up early. I read. I did stuff. Fuck, I smoked like a crazy person. It's amazing. I don't tell you about rehab. Is get ready to go on the patch after, boy.
You're not
It's
kidding.
all you got.
But
It's
yeah,
all you got.
I think I smoked 3 packs a day
Uh
in rehab for
huh.
30 days.
Rehab was great for me. 15% of it was really great. I'm gonna say. The other 85% I didn't need. I knew how to eat. I knew how to make my bed. I knew how to do things. And what I didn't love, and I'm going to ask you a question about this because you said you were in and out, was after 60 days, I just went home and I got home. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm going to wake up at 4. I'm going to read. I'm going to do my time. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to go for a walk. My wife's like, hey, fuck face, we got shit to do. Let's go.
Right.
I'm like, well, whoa, 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 hold on. I need my space. I need my boundaries. I've created. I'm like, no, no, no. We're back to real life here, pal.
Right.
So for me, I was sober, but I was a white knuckling crazy dude who didn't know up from down half the time. And that's where it took me a good 3, 4 years, to really understand what recovery was and what loving myself was and what being okay with what I saw in the mirror every day was after rehab
Mm.
because I didn't know how to do life.
Yep.
I didn't know how to do life as the new me. I knew how to do life as the old me. And a lot of bad habits came right back because of the walls I lived in. I wasn't in my bubble wrapped rehab anymore. I didn't
Right.
have people saying, "Oh, well, how do you feel, Curtis?"
Right.
It's like, "Oh, I feel like punching someone." It's like, "Okay, let's talk about it." I didn't get that after it. That's a big part of my recovery programs as a coach now
Mm-hmm.
is trying to avoid that, trying to create and support somebody in the real world and give them the skills in the real world to be who they want to be without having to go through the rehab system and come out. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that need to go away. There's a lot of people that need treatment, and But there's a lot of people I think who don't need to, um, who there can be another way to do it.
Mhm.
And that's, it's an intensive outpatient program, and I didn't get that after. I got a little bit of group where you go once or twice a week and you talk to people and you listen to other people complain, and you have a counselor and it's like, okay, well, see you later. Like, okay, I'll see you later. I'll tell you the biggest part of my recovery that's kept me sober is I still do it. You know what that is?
I can't see it. What do you got there?
It's a breathalyzer.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, breathalyzer you're showing.
It's a mobile breathalyzer. I make all my clients use them. I do it 8 times a day.
You give those out to your clients?
Mm-hmm. It's an app. You blow into it. I mean, shit, this shit will pick up soy sauce. Like you
Right.
got to be on point, and it'll send a picture. It'll send a video of you doing it. It'll send your location. It sends your blood alcohol. And for me, having that, knowing what the consequences of blowing over were enough to keep me sober.
Yeah.
So for long enough to learn how to get into recovery properly and how to start doing things properly again. I'm lucky I had baseball. You talk about a higher power. Mine's the church of baseball in a sense. That community, what it means to me, what it used to mean to me before I thought the pressure of the world was all over me.
Mm.
And now I've channeled it into coaching, working with people in my family. So I
Wow.
mean, I just talked about a whack of shit. I don't even know if I answered I don't even know if there was a question there.
No, no. I mean, you're sharing,
I
you're,
know.
you're
I
sharing.
love sharing, man. That's one cool thing about rehab treatment is man, you learn to share. Man, you're forced to share.
Well, yeah, you are. But it helped, for me, that was part of the big changes for me. Like, I wasn't built to share anything with anyone. I didn't even share any
No.
feelings with anybody,
No,
so
you
much that
share a
with some other
joint.
guy. Yeah, maybe. It depends on
Maybe.
out on you. Yeah. No, no, I always shared that. No, but you bring me back to, about this topic of doing life, before, I was not doing life. I was not a normal, functionable, member of society. My whole entire identity was a partier, a drinker, and then, that was the fun times. And then I got really dark for a long time. And, when I got out of that rehab, all I had to do that day was I was instructed to do one thing. I had to go to an AA meeting that night, without a doubt.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
got home and I was like, no, I'm good tonight. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to go tonight. And I didn't
That's the
go.
scariest thing to say. That's the scariest thing to say is I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I never put 90 days together in those
Yeah.
4 years, ever.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
rehab and the thin and out those 4 years. The first time I put 90 days together was, from May 13th, from my sobriety date.
Hmm.
But I wasn't my friends were getting married and engaged and having babies and moving up in jobs. And, I landed in this, somehow I was a bartender. I was career bartending. Guy came in, said, what are you doing behind the bar? And come work for me on Wall Street. I went to work on Wall Street and moved from there, got into a real firm, and I'm sitting there with no college degree. I barely graduated high school and I'm surrounded by Ivy Leaguers. But I got the competitiveness. I got a little chip on my shoulder always. I always had a chip on my shoulder. I was going to figure this out. But I was a fish out of water, like
You're
say,
like
like,
the reverse Jordan Belfort.
yeah, well, actually, I think one of the first places I worked for, he was affiliated with somehow. Like I left.
Okay.
Actually, that's where I got my license. I got licensed. That guy that came in the bar and said, "Come to work for me." He knew him, whatever. And anyway, I went for this. I went to work for this. Like I didn't even know what was going on, but I took my licenses. I passed my Series 7 and stuff, and I left. As soon as I passed my test, I left because I knew that these guys, no good. I think it got shut down after I left a few months after, but
Wow.
um,
Bet you
yeah,
got
but
some
so I'm
stories
sitting
and
in.
tales on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean everyone in there had aliases like, they were calling people and saying I'm, Rich Rodriguez, and meanwhile the name is, Steve, Bartlett, whatever. I don't know, whatever the name was, like we're not even close. And
Yeah.
every I was like, I don't know much, but what these guys are doing,
Hmm.
it's not good,
That's crazy.
but I was like, let me get my test from these guys. So they sponsored me for my test. I passed my test, and then I
See
got my
ya.
foot in the door in a real shop, in a real firm. And
Hmm.
but I was a fish out of water there too. Like,
Yeah.
first time it was first real job, first time I had
Hmm.
weekends off, first I had benefits. I had a salary, like, but that was, I started there. It was February 2001. It was a few blocks up from the World Trade Center in September
Oh
2001.
wow.
That
Yeah.
happened.
Hmm.
A few months after that, I went AWOL from that job, and I'm in rehab in April 2002. And that was it was the first time though, Curtis, that I ever said, I'm Gary and I'm an alcoholic, and I can remember it as clear as day right now. But
Yeah.
we're talking about doing life. Like I did everything wrong. I did everything not normal. Like
Well, I just what you said about as you get older, you see your friends, they're getting married, they're having kids, they're buying houses, they're doing these things. I can remember that feeling and going, "Fuck you guys, fuck you guys," and
mm,
then just using that as fuel to go darker and deeper.
yeah.
Not the other way of going, "Hey, good for you guys. I'm proud of you. This is great. I hope I'm there one day too, and I'm going to continue to work." That sounds like nonsense.
Yeah, no, I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. I was going to buddies, kids' christenings, and like you said, they had nice cars, they owned a house. I was like, I still was in the same beat up car that I paid a couple $100 for. I was
Yeah.
barely making ends meet. I was, week to week, I was like, I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. And I didn't realize what that meant until I got into recovery.
Yeah.
But I was a complete disaster. I mean, I just was. I didn't even really realize it, but it's all I knew. It's
Yeah.
all I knew. And yeah, so and I got to the point too, it actually within these 4 years. And listen, I got a group of guys that they're not buddies. They're still my best buddies to this day. I'm going to chat with all of them right now. And some of
Hmm.
them, they're not angels, right? But there was a point where I was in and out, and they were all like, dude, like, what the fuck, man? Like, you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna, like, what's the matter with you? And I got to the point where I was like, listen, this is me. I'm going out. I'm going back out. I'm not this sober guy. Like, you're either with me or you're without, or you're against me. And guess what? I don't give a flying fuck what team you're on. This is my team. And like you said, it got really dark, and I alienated a lot of people that I really cared about, friends,
Hmm.
family. It got really dark, and I didn't care. Really didn't care. You had the photography business, right? Like, you're drunk and you're not even to kind of like to realize how many people you booked. You're triple booking because you're drunk, and then
Yeah.
everyone's coming down on you, and you feel your world's crashing in on you. And what do you
Uh-huh.
do to escape that? You continue to drink, right? And that's what
Oh
an
yeah.
alcoholic does.
Yep.
That's what alcoholism is.
It is. Well, I mean, it's funny what you said about, having to make those decisions to say kind of like, no, fuck you. I'm going this way. I'm going this way. And yeah, I actually just posted a quote about that. Loyalty, that's a tough nut to crack. We're wired to feel like crap for walking away. But here's the deal. Loyalty shouldn't be a chain. It's supposed to be a two-way street, not a one-way road to nowhere. And
Mm,
that's the reality of we're socially trained to be loyal regardless of anything.
right.
But if we're loyal to something that's fucking killing us, let's find a better word than loyalty for that.
Yeah.
That you're addicted to that shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's running your whole life.
So I've learned
My
to
whole
be
life.
loyal to myself first. Me, number one. I am a that's funny because I'm the most fucking selfish person now when it comes to things, but in the right way, but in the
Mm,
best way possible. Because I know if I'm not banging out my stuff and following my routine and doing what I need for me, again, the cliche shit of my cup is always full now. I have to keep my cup full for my three daughters, for my wife, and for the very select few who are in my inner circle now.
right.
Very select.
Yeah. Well, you talked about your family, right? I have two here as well. And
Yeah.
my wife and two children, they're my life, and that, they're my world, right?
Yeah.
And thank God, and God willing, they're 9 and 10. They never saw their dad drunk,
That's
and
sweet.
that's a really big thing, and to
Hmm.
be honest with you, and I don't say that a lot, but it's the truth, right? Like, they haven't seen. I have said this before, like, forget about.
I just
No,
want to
no,
jump
go.
in on that. What's even cooler about that? is, and I love this and I think about this all the time, is my kids get to see a dad who is present, who is dialed in.
Mm.
Because it's never the booze, it's what causes us to drink that the kids see as well. That's where a lot of the trauma comes from. Yeah, the booze, you see this animal crazy person, but we don't drink because we fucking like the drink. We drink because we're suppressing terrible feelings. And to not have those habits and feelings that lead to the drinking around my children is just like my kids are, I can hear them thumping around upstairs right now. They're just like I call them two drunk midgets. They're 2-year-old twins, right? It's like talking to drunk midgets. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? They're like, blue. I'm like, okay, cool. And but I go upstairs and they're smiling and I'm smiling. I don't have shit. I don't have any shit. I don't have any baggage anymore.
All right.
I'm not
Right.
like I'm not like, okay, go over there. I got to deal with this. I got to figure out a way to get out of this one, or I got to talk to this person because they're mad at me. And I'm not fucking roller coaster of emotion guy. I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just silly dada, you know?
Curtis, you talk about baggage, which I love it because I haven't said this in so long. But yeah, the baggage that I was carrying around, like even after I got sober, dude, I was incapable of answering the phone because every
Yeah.
time the phone rang, I had a jolt of anxiety and fear for you.
Oh,
This went on for a
yeah.
long time. Like because who know, because that's how my life was. I couldn't answer the phone. Who knows what I did the night before? Who is chasing me down?
Predators,
Whatever.
fucking banks, fucking
Yeah,
people, fucking
creditors,
cops, fucking I had it
banks,
all going on, man. I
yeah,
changed my number
police,
4 or 5 times.
all of it. No, all of it. But with that, that there's an element of trauma there that I could probably dial into. But the honest to God, today, honestly, right now, I'm 49 years old. When the phone rings, I have an instant, really quick sense of gratitude that boom, I can, I don't have that. I don't live that way anymore. I can answer this phone. It's something so small that a civilian probably listening to this be like, wow, like
I
cannot
know.
relate to it
I
all.
know.
But
I
you and
know.
I can relate to it 100% to be
I
able to
s-
answer
I
that
still get
phone.
a little bit triggered if I see a private or an unknown caller call. I'm like, oh no, wait, I'm good. I can answer it. Doesn't matter.
I'm laughing. We got these robocalls now, right? And like
Yeah.
this nonstop. So every time we see it, like I give it to my daughter and she answers and she's like, stop calling. It's like a family joke right now at the
Yeah.
robocall.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
I mean,
funny.
again,
Civilians, you call them normies, eh? Old normies. Old normies. You're gonna normies can have a half a glass of wine and go to bed. I love it.
civilians, normies. Yeah, I still
Yeah.
don't get it. Listen, I'm alcoholic. I still will go and I'll stare at people and how they drink and I'll watch them and I'll see how many they've had
Yeah. Yeah.
and if they're not finishing their drink, like my wife, we were out to dinner last night. She's a civilian. She had a half a glass of wine and half a glass of Amaretto. Actually, she ordered it. I don't even know how much she drank. We laugh about it though, and
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe I've helped in that sense. But she was always a civilian. But
Yeah.
so you go away, you have this intervention, you're coachable, you start changing your life around. When do you go? When do you pivot to? I want to help people do this as well.
My help for people has always been there in a sense of being a coach from a young age. So when I got out of treatment, I joined an organization here and a baseball organization, and I was like a volunteer coach, and I did some sales. And I was in 2018, and 2018 when I joined them. And by 2021, I was a general manager. Right. So I was like, no, I'm going to, I was fucking scout. And then I had built an indoor facility, a 10,000 square indoor facility across the street from the stadium. I had 8, 9 coaches, I had trainers, I had 100 plus students, and I was helping everybody. Boy, I was helping everybody. I was killing it. I was the fucking OG godfather of baseball in this town, back to where I wanted to be. But holy shit, my life was sucked out of me. I had no time for myself. I was too busy helping everybody else because I thought that's what I needed. And it was at the time. I needed to give back. I needed service. Service was a massive part for me.
Sure.
But I got, again, too addicted to the feeling of service
Right.
where I'm helping everybody. I got meetings, I got calls, I got Zooms. I'm flying here. I'm doing this. I'm helping this guy. I'm a GM. I'm a coach. I started a university team. It didn't end, especially through COVID. It was just hustling and creating shit. I would come home, man. I would come home from a night at the ballpark. And I took the GM job because my twins were born. I didn't want to be on the bus anymore and travel.
Yeah.
And And I was like, okay, well, I'll be home. But I would leave at 9 a.m. and wouldn't get home till 10 p.m. I'd come home to all my kids and my wife crying. And I was like, what the
Mm.
fuck? What am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Yeah, making money. Yeah, there's this and that, but for what? What am I doing? So took some serious inventory on my life and sold my business, resigned, got rid of everything, and just started working with people online. And I built this little area in my basement and in our downstairs here. And that's it, man. And that's when I realized I'm like, I need to get into recovery more. Like I need to really I've been working with people in recovery and kind of off the side of my desk helping athletes more than anything,
Hmm.
helping some dads of athletes through it. I was like, no, 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 no. I need to really do this. And that was when I realized I'd gotten out of recovery again. I was just sober,
Right.
doing things for the grandiose, the grandiose feeling of being the dude. I always felt like if I'm gonna do something, I need to be the best at it. And
Yeah.
I need fucking statues built of me eventually. I need to leave a legacy. I need to leave this. I need to, I was like, what's my legacy? And then eventually I'm like, dude, you need to shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The only people that care are your kids and your wife, and you are not there for them. You're putting all your energy and effort into people who are going to use it, and then they're going to listen for 5 minutes, and then they're going to go back to complaining about their coffee was cold from Starbucks. Like that's how I equate it. Whereas these beautiful women at my house are like just fucking, they just want me there. They
Yeah.
don't care. They don't care if I'm working at a fast food joint or if I'm the GM of a big sports team. They just want
Right.
dad. They just want dad home. When I really realized that, then I need to just take care of myself again. My cup was empty for my children. It was full for other people. That's what's led me here. That's what's led me to going online, podcasts, really being open with my story. I was scared to tell people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people I did a breathalyzer. I wouldn't tell people, they'd be like, oh, why aren't you drinking? It's like, oh, I'm on antibiotics or,
Right.
or I have to drive or whatever it is. I mean, fuck, half the time I was in recovery. I didn't have my license because I got so many DUIs.
Right.
I'd take my driver's test again at like 38. Talk about a fucking humbling experience. Like,
There you go. Yeah.
hey, sir, you're not doing that right. It's like, bitch, I'm 38. I know how to
Right.
drive. Like, fucking just hit the check marks, bro.
16-year-old is parallel parking
Yeah,
mode.
yeah. Some knob fucking do testing me. But that's when that's what it took. It took me taking inventory on my life, and that's a big part of my program is daily inventory. We do our well better hows. What did I do well today? What could I do better? How am I going to do it? And just being conscious of that daily,
Mm.
daily, 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 not weekly, not monthly, fucking hourly, daily
Yeah.
reflection. Am I doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing good. Am I doing okay? No. Okay, I need to stop and I need to call some people that help me.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'm going through this. Du-du-du-du-du. Oh yeah, that's right. My imagination is 10 times stronger than reality. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot that. Okay, no, I'm good. I'm good. I can get back to what I was doing. I feel better now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'd be like, nope, put it in my back pocket, rub some dirt on it,
Oh yeah.
fucking put on the gear, go down to the field, and hey, I'm the guy. I got interviews, and look at me. And no, I'm over that. I hate that.
I like how you use that analogy of your cup runneth over, and you're saying it was all full outside of your house, right? And when you looked around, you said it's empty with my girls and my family, and
It was
that's
like one
the
of
most
those
important
fake
cup.
beers. It was like one of those fake drinks where you pass someone and you pretend to throw it on them. There's
Right.
only liquid in the outside and like a false fucking outer, but it's
Right.
actually empty.
Yeah.
That was my life. It looked
Yeah.
full.
But you realized it, right? And you realize that this house is where the people in this house is what I need to fill this cup up with. This is because this is what's important. Like you said, they don't care.
Mhm.
They don't care what dad's doing. They just want dad here and present and be there with them.
Totally, totally. Wear sweatpants and messy hair and not shave. No, they don't give a shit. They just want to go to the park and
Yeah.
hang out. And that's when you realize it's not everything, but it's a big piece. It's a massive, massive piece. You do need to have purpose. There does need to be other factors in your life. Like I have my three priorities in my life. First one is my health and recovery. Second one is my family. Third one is my work. And they're not numbered in that order. They go around in a circle in my life. Sometimes my work is more important than the other two. Sometimes my recovery is more important than the other two. Sometimes my family is more important. But it's just a matter of what life is throwing at me. which one do I need to focus on the most to benefit all three?
But we get that. I'm saying we here, we get that because we got sober, because we found sobriety, because, out there, there's no shot for us. There's no shot for your family. There's no shot for my family if I'm out there, as long as I'm in here and I'm doing the work. And like you said, one day at a time, try to be better than I was yesterday. Try to help one person today. That was the mantra of this show. You said, like, that's a good day. And that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
But for me, none of it happens if I don't get sober, and my wife, she celebrates my anniversary every year. She celebrates, makes a big, get a Carvel cake and a card and
Oh,
everything. And on my 10-year anniversary, I opened the card and she said, "We're so proud of you. Just think if you hadn't gotten sober like this, your two children wouldn't even be here."
cool.
And so again, I'm repeating this myself on prior shows, but you say property of my sobriety, and you can put a sticker of property of my sobriety and all the things I have, this desk, this
Oh, that's
computer,
cool,
but
man.
I can put that on my family too.
I like
Like,
that.
I'm not married, I don't have children, and if I do, they hate me.
Yeah.
And so does my in-laws hate me. All of everybody, my friends hate me. All of
Oh,
them, and
they're
well deserved.
gone. They're gonzo. They're not
Oh
around.
yeah,
You kidding me? Yeah.
100%. And that's at best, Curtis.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
that's best case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not, you could have wrapped your car around a post or something. It's like
Yeah,
that's
man.
like you said, best case scenario. I have that conversation with people coming to my office all the time. And they're like, well, I'm thinking about stopping drinking, but the holidays are coming up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Just call me when it gets worse, man. Call me after you go bankrupt if that's what you want, or call me,
Yeah.
they're not ready. That's
Yeah,
fine.
not ready.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Call me when you're ready, Bal. Like,
Uh-huh.
keep testing it. Keep the
Totally.
experiment
Keep
going.
poking. Keep
Keep
poking the
the
bear, baby.
experiment going. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Let me know how that goes. Be careful though.
Actually, you don't have to. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah, I
can.
know. We could play the tape back. Could we been
Yeah.
there for sure.
Hmm.
So let me ask you though, if you can go back in time for one thing, right? And I'm going to go back to, 17, 18-year-old Curtis finishing up his second year. And what are you telling that? What are you telling young Curtis?
Hang out with the guys that are taking care of their business in all aspects of life.
Mm,
I was talking. I have a youth mental performance program, and we Zoom, and I was talking to them about this because there's so many temptations of hanging out with people and doing things and new things coming up when you're a good athlete. I said, I tell you, the four guys on my team in college that all made it to the big leagues were the guys that would come out for an hour. They'd be like, hey, yeah, cool. They're in the pictures. They got a drink and, they're having fun. Then they fucking deke. They go home, they get their sleep, they get their schoolwork done, they take care of their business, they rest. And that's how they do it. I
right.
would tell Curtis, young Curtis, go see if you can be roommates with one of those guys and just follow them.
Yeah, I like that.
And not even be roommate, just be like beg them to work with you. Because my roommate was one of them actually. And
Yeah.
it still didn't make a difference, right? I'd fall asleep in front of our dorm room door and he'd wake up in the morning, I'd be passed out.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. So that's what I'd say. You can be a product of your environment, but you have to choose your environment. And everybody's got a choice. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's a tough go. He's a product of his environment." It's like, well, you can change that.
Yeah,
You
you
always have
can.
the choice to change that. And this is where it comes to, your circle. It's like, okay, no, that person doesn't work for my environment, this place, these people, this lifestyle. I need a different environment. And based on your environment, you're going to make changes. So
No doubt.
audit your environment, man. That's what I would have done. Was not just think, hey man, I'm Curtis. I'm good at fucking everything. I got this because I sure as hell wasn't, man.
Right.
I was a kid. I was a kid and temptation got the best of me. And then I didn't even know I had these problems. And then all of a sudden it just took over.
That's how it happens.
Mhm.
That's how it happens.
Mhm.
But here you are, and your life is completely changed, and now your mission, you're dedicated to helping others not have to go through that. And that's a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
Well, service, as it keeps you in the game. You
Yeah,
know,
it's all about service for sure.
it's, when you're helping others, even if you're getting paid to do it, you're still in the game.
Yeah, that's a
You're,
that's a beautiful marriage. You can find a place to make a living and helping people. I
yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
that's that's the sweet spot.
It's a sweet spot because it keps you accountable too.
Yeah, it
Because they're
keeps you
like,
sober too, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
no
hey man,
doubt.
we're paying your ass. Like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. I'm not double booking you guys.
Yeah, right, man. So
Uh-huh.
Curtis, where can we find you? Where can people want to work with you, where can we find you? I know you're on Instagram, but
yeah, Instagram, Coach Curtis MPC, mental performance coach, coach just at Coach Curtis MPC, or curtispelletier.ca, CurtisPelletier.ca, because nobody knows how to spell it and nobody knows how to say it.
well, we're going to put all that in the show notes so they can find
Cool.
you. But Curtis, I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I hope we do this again. I think we will.
Absolutely.
I'm going to follow you for sure. And
Yeah, we should
what
get into
doing,
we should get into some sports talk.
let's do it, man. Let's do it. This almost
Love it.
became a sports podcast, but I figured there's too many of that, and we can't help any people.
Yeah,
with
we
that.
don't need to talk about Shohei, you know. Are you a Yankees guy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got Soto going his
You
way.
did get Soto. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah,
Pop
man.
up to right and he'll be laughing.
That's right.
I
You're
know.
gonna hit 60 there.
Uh-huh.
Curtis, thanks again, man. I love what you're doing. I
Appreciate you.
appreciate your time, and we will all follow you, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another powerful episode of the Begin Again podcast. We sincerely appreciate your time and support. We hope that today's conversation has ignited a spark within you, affirming that recovery is not only attainable, but can also be a wellspring of strength and resilience. Our ultimate goal is to make a difference in someone's life every single day. By sharing these stories of redemption, we strive to empower you and inspire you to unlock your fullest potential, facilitate positive transformations, and contribute to creating a better future for yourself, for your loved ones, and the world at large. If you know someone who could benefit from listening to our show, please share it with them. And if you resonate with our mission and feel compelled to do so, we would greatly appreciate your support through a 5-star review, following us on Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, The Begin Again Podcast. The more positive reviews we receive and the wider our message spreads, the greater our collective ability to help others realize that change is possible in their own lives. Thank you once again for being part of our community. May you be blessed on your own journey of personal growth and transformation.